night.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Horror Night Oasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host, Ian. Ian, are you there?
I am here.
I know you're having a fun time on your side.
Always.
Yeah, but we are here to talk about some horror on this special Easter edition of Horror Night Oasis, and we are continuing on our Twisted Nature Marathon. And as I said, it's our Easter special, and we've done a lot of Easter films. Sometimes throughout the month, we did, during the the quarantine days of marathons, we did nothing but Easter films, and we've discussed a lot of Easter films. And we got a new one, semi-new, at least it is new to Tubi. And I might as well we just kick this off with Easter Bloody Easter. Easter Bloody Easter, directed by Diane Foster, and also starring Diane Foster as the lead character of Jeannie. And Easter Bloody Easter deals with Jeannie, and she is technically going through a hardship in her relationship with her boyfriend Lance. And Lance basically sort of disappears. It sort of sets in a chain of events when he disappears. And the town is one of those, it's a southern Texas towns, very, southern hospitality type towns, where they all come together for this special Easter Palooza. And it's run by Mary Lou, and she's sort of the self-entitled, stuck-up, she's sort of like the mean girl, but she's like in charge of like the town. And like a city manager or something like that, where she sets up all these events for the town and the Easter Palooza and this, just this thing for this small town, this small community to come together and celebrate Easter. And there's like all kinds of different things, like, oh, we can come here, but there's an ordinance, you can't have more than 10 eggs. And there's all kinds of like little shenanigans throughout there where she's like kind of making quips and stuff. And it's just one of those where like the town, as soon as it starts, it's very established, the world that they're living in. It feels like, a small southern Texas town. And at the same time, people are starting to get attacked and killed. And of course, Jeannie is caught up in that, and her friend Carol. And their sort of crazy friend Sam that sort of comes into play a little bit later into the film, where it's not like, oh, there's like a killer or anything like that. Like, no, it's a giant jackalope creature that is apparently a demon from years prior, from the olden days, a curse in a sense that they did, the old town previous years before them did something to appease this creature. And so he's kind of come back this year, and we'll get into the specifics soon. And so again, like it's a lot of Jeannie just going around with Carol, trying to figure out who is the creature, because it is mentioned later on that when they meet up with I forgot the other chick's name. Honestly, I didn't even catch it, but she's like a hunter that she's been after, trying to figure it out too. And like they all team up to search for the jackalope creature, as well as they're being attacked by puppet bunnies that are demonic as well, with sharp teeth and red eyes, and they're getting chased. They just show up, and there's like these screams or shrieks in the distance when they know the jackalope monster and the bunnies are there in the vicinity of them. And like the hunter has this rabbit's foot, and he's like, I cut half the rabbit's, the jackalope's foot off, so someone that we're after has half a foot, because it's sort of a shapeshifter, another shapeshifter. And that's technically the movie. It's where Jeannie, Carol, the hunter, Sam, they're just kind of going through this small community trying to pinpoint who this jackalope monstrosity creature is. A lot of red herrings are tossed in there, and a lot of it's very lighthearted, and just, I wouldn't say it's sort of campy, but they play it up on the campy aspect, which works for this type of film, as opposed to some of the other films we reviewed already, where it's just like way too serious. This one just plays it up for laughs and stupidity and dumb characters, and sort of reminded me of like a bunch of the previous films that we haven't discussed on the show, but I've seen, like Werewolves Within, where it's like the characters are sort of absurd and outlandish and zany, while they're like facing a werewolf, and they're just like, the small knit community. Black Sheep, with the killer zombie sheep, and how that one has like that community as well. Cute Little Buggers, it's another one. It's killer rabbits, but the rabbits are aliens and they have tentacles. It's not the greatest. It's definitely Easter Bloody Easter is definitely better than that. But it's just like that stupid spontaneity, sort of dumb humor. It's not in your face. There is a deeper message with like Jeannie and Lance, and her trying to find Lance, and of course everything that happens later on in the film. But overall, it's not terrible. And again, for the previous films that we've discussed for various Easter films over the years, it's definitely one of the better ones. I mean, it's better than just some guy in a rabbit suit or in a cabin or in a storage facility. It's like at least there's like an identity to the film. They're having fun. It just seems like they're having fun with the film. They're not, not too serious. It's just, campy a little bit. It's not like in exactly tongue-in-cheek camp, but they're playing up on the aspect. It's like it's a dumb idea, but they're having fun with it. And I can't really fault the film that much. I mean, there's some obvious shortcomings. Of course, they're using puppets, but I'd rather them use fluffy puppets, like stuffed bunnies, than CGI bunnies like they did in Cute Little Boogers. And like, again, the jackalope costume, for what it is, it's fine. It suits the tone of the film, and especially like the reveal towards the end as well. So it's overall, I didn't really mind the film. The only real downside is it kind of drags in the middle, and when you look at it, it's like it has an hour and 44-minute runtime, but it's a little bit lesser than that. It's like an hour 35, not including credits. So there's a good at least 10 minutes of like no credits. But again, it still drags in a few places. That the Easter Palooza party, it just it's at a standstill, even though that's when like you have to deal with that before you get into the Easter bunny attacks, with the rabbits attacking people and biting people their tits and their ass and all kinds of stuff like that. you have one girl going through there screaming, "My tits, my tits!" So they're playing it up. But yeah, it wasn't exactly terrible in the plethora of Easter-related films that we've covered on the show. It's one of the stronger efforts, and they're having fun with it. And again, it's just one of those where you just sit back and watch it, and you're like, yeah, that was fine. Didn't really. It was fun when it needed to be. It could have been a little bit more stronger. It's basically sort of like a silver bullet type situation where it's just like, again, like someone in the town's a transmorphing jackalope monster, and again, I like the build up in the lore, and I like the shriekings of the sounds of the rabbit, jackalope, and the rabbits when they come and attack people. There's some good blood. There's a little bit of CGI blood, but again, that's normal. There's some practical, intestines pulling and like impalement with the jackalope ears. He impels the heart out of someone, and like he pulls it out of his ear, his antlers, and he's like holding it, and the heart's beating. So there's some good moments in the film. And so yeah, it's not too terrible. It's perfectly fine. Again, with the other films that we've especially on this marathon as well, it's definitely the stronger effort of this marathon, and as well as some of the Easter films that we've discussed over the years. But Ian, I'll pass it over to you, and then we'll go back and forth.
Well, I mean, the rabbits were absolutely hilarious, especially the last one at the end.
Yeah.
But what is there to say? I mean, this movie has a lot of moments that just dragged on to me. Like you said, toward the middle, it was like the whole Easter Palooza festival was kind of like, I was like, I'm struggling right now to stay awake.
Yeah, because they just include a musical number, and then you think, okay, one musical number, that's good, and then they do another one. They're like, really, we're just extending this for no reason. Like they could have just done the one, and then they have like a dance sequence, and then they had the dance sequence with the drag queen, and that felt just like unnecessary. Not to say anything bad, I'm just saying it's just like felt a little unnecessary.
Yeah, no, it really was. I mean, it just. Like, this is what I said, about a couple of the movies that we've watched here recently, that this could have been a short. Like, this honestly could have been a short, and we wouldn't have lost anything plot-wise. I mean, like, just her looking for her husband and like stumbling upon the jackalope and all that. It just kind of felt like they were just trying to make this movie last as long as possible. Even the credits were like a lot longer than they needed it to be. But yeah, no, it was fine for what it was. I thought it tried too hard. That was like my another big takeaway from it, was like, I felt like it tried way too hard to be funny, which made it like not very funny to me. I found it kind of hard to laugh at, because like I was like, when it was over, I was like, I should have loved this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I liked everything that this movie was about. I liked how cheesy it was. I liked the practical, like little bunny puppet things. I loved how they turned evil. I liked the costume at the end, honestly. It was just something about it that was keeping me like from just like really liking this movie. And I just think it was the fact that like the jokes tried too hard and the actors weren't selling it to me very much. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's very over the top and very, like it's not to the point of where it's zany, crazy over the top outlandish. They were just like they're right on the cusp. They're not playing, it's not played straight, but it's like not in your face.
Yeah.
It's just like right there on the line of just like, I wouldn't say overbearing, but it's just like beating a dead horse where it's just like, they're having fun. I mean, that shows, but yeah,
Oh yeah.
like it just like parts of the film, like I said, just drags on, and like the humor is just like not there as they think it would be. Like having a drag queen come in to host Easter Palooza, and then like the all the things that happens, like the sheriff and like Marianne's sidekick is sort of like not exactly all that great either when it comes to like zany situations.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she lost her foot in the accident, and she's very, you know, shy about that. Like, and then of course they make out, and then like, um, again, like they needed to like kind of go more in depth with the jackalope history, because they kind of just bring it up and it's just like kind of forgotten, and you don't understand, like, so he's able to control these other rabbits or something like that. They kind of just like harp over that. Yeah. Or it's like his minions in a sense, it's just like jackalope, and he has the rabbit minions that are demonic as well. So it's kind of, I mean, obviously it's like a, again, shape shifting. Like if you ingest it or get bitten by the jackalope, you turn into it. And so it's like, it's weird because, like you said, you have to get bitten by it, and that's technically what starts the film. But so he was already there, and then like, or he was like a bunny and he got bitten, and then that's what caused the transformation to turn into the jackalope monster. And then what happened at the end where it ingested it, and then it became. So I don't know. It's kind of all in the air with it. Just it just felt like it didn't really need that extended ending.
Yeah.
Like the story was already wrapped up, and it just felt like it could have ended there. But now they had to go through the church scene with the extended ending, which even that didn't even feel like an ending. Weird. It just, like I said, it just felt tacked on. Where it just like, well, this is our life now. It's just like, yeah, and then you just drive off. Like it just didn't feel fulfilling, the ending. Whereas the first one, where again, what happened to the jackalope monster was like, that was interesting and funny. That's cute in a sense. Like it turns into that. But then they just like,
no, I agree.
They just went on with the joke a little too long. It's like the Sasquatch bedroom scene in Graveyard Shark, where it's just like, didn't need that. But again, like this one, it's like, I don't know, it just like felt like continuing on or something. I have no idea.
Yeah, it just felt like they were trying to throw things in to just to fluff the film up a little bit. And I was like, like, I mean, it looked nice. Like,
yeah.
Like, it was a very clean movie. But just, like I said, it was just something off. Like the humor, like I felt like the humor should have made me laugh. Like I felt like everything about this movie, like I loved a lot of it about what it was. It was just didn't grab me. Like, and like I said, I felt like they tried too hard to be funny. I felt like, they were fluffing the film up, and just when you're like getting interested, it kind of felt like they veered off course a little bit here and there with like all these random subplots. And it's just like it was getting to a point where it's like, okay, so we're going to talk about everything, but like we're not going to go too deep into the like what the jackalope is and does, and like are those like I think there was like an offhand comment I caught was like that it made it seem like those were fresh jackalopes, like that he was controlling. I don't know. That was like what you're saying, like it's just confusing. That's like trying to figure out like what the purpose of the jackalope was.
Yeah, especially again, and towards the end too, with the reveal, like, so you do that, and that's how it happens. You just don't, and it was just like that one's out of left field too, like the transformation scene. Like, okay, and then the whole point of him like shitting eggs constantly. I'm like, yeah, that's funny, but like, were the eggs the spawn of? Is that the rabbits and they get born like that? They didn't really say that. They don't really show them hatching out of the eggs. So it's just like normal minion, like demonic bunnies that he's controlling.
That's what I was
it's just like,
wondering
there's
too. About the whole egg thing. Is the bunnies from that? And like, because at the Easter Palooza, like one of the eggs breaks and there's like blood all over the place. It's like, was that a baby, or was that just something random? Like, that was another thing I wanted to explain. Like, what's with the eggs? Like, I get it, but like, I felt like,
but the whole.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're good. The whole like Easter, like him being the Easter bunny carrying an Easter basket. Like, I get it that it was on Easter, but like that right there was kind of weird to me, because I was like, so is there either I'm missing something or this is just random? And
yeah, because he's put the entrails and the heart and the intestines in a basket for some reason, but they never explain it any further.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking was inside the eggs, and then he's pooping those eggs out. And I was very confused about this Easter bunny guy, because I was like, he's not the traditional Easter bunny, and like, what's with the basket? Like, why? I kept pulling like myself in and out of this film. Like, I tried to turn my brain off, but especially once it hit that like slow period.
Yeah, the 45-minute mark is really the rough patch. Because that's when everything starts, and then like, ugh.
Yeah, and that's where I was just like, okay, so why do you have the basket now and you don't have the basket the rest of the movie? Why are you ripping people's intestines out now, but not really?
Yeah, it's like it doesn't really serve no purpose. It's just there for show. Like, does he have like a certain amount of organs or stuff that he needs to do something with? And like, again, we're getting into spoilers here, so spoilers. He wanted to, like, again, the whole reason is it's Mary Lou. It's her husband that turns into the jackalope. And again, throughout the film, he's like having these. You can obviously tell who it was. I mean,
I figured that out like almost immediately.
There's no, the red herrings that he tried to throw at you. Like, no, it's obviously because it's the first one, because he's having issues and like he has a fork and he's using his teeth and he's picking at it. So like, obviously, well, he's having teeth issues, so he's turning into something, and like he's sort of walking funny because he's having a half foot. But like, he attacks Lance, which was Jeannie's husband or boyfriend, because Marianne was attracted to him in some way. Mary Lou, I don't know why I'm saying Marianne, but Mary Lou. And like, again, it doesn't really make sense. Like, what did he again, like how it came to be? He was just like, oh, he's the bunny, he's the jackalope monster. Like, of course you don't see how he became the jackalope monster. But like, when he comes up and he's starting to talk to Lance in the woods where he's sort of tied up, like he puts a blow up rabbit outfit on, and then just miraculously transforms into another jackalope monster. So it's like, that's weird. Again, so he has to put on a rabbit outfit to transform into an actual rabbit, and then like he's able to talk where he's not able to talk throughout the rest of the movie, besides like groans and shrieks and stuff in the background. And then like the whole reason he's doing this to Lance is because his wife, Mary Lou, is attracted to Lance or something like that. And it's just like,
yeah,
okay, so what's the purpose of anything? It's just one of those where, like I said, and we kind of brought this up, it's just one of those where you just like turn your head off and just let it play out. It's like if we really deep dive, it falls apart pretty easily. And it's just like they were more adamant about the relationship portions of the film with Jeannie and like cheating on Lance and like her going to this like drunken stupor and then like trying to overcome that and then become stronger bond at the end of it by going through this ordeal with a jackalope monster. And then you have Mary Lou, who like she has her issues with Jamie and Carol, not Jeannie and Carol, and then like she overcomes the hardships with her husband because of stuff, and then like because he killed her dog and he was angry at her because she thought more of the dog than him. And it's just like, so what was the point of all the other people? Like did he just piss you off? Like it just felt like there was like no real purpose for anything if you really deep dive into it. Like the teens at the beginning, you thought like, oh, maybe this, like they had sex in the church, and like that served no purpose. You thought it would when they introduced like the Easter basket full of guts, because that's the very first sort of main scene you have with him. And then like the heart, he put that, the intestines he put in the basket, and just like honestly it was all for naught. And it's just like more of them trying to overcome bad relationships in a sense and be stronger women. So it's sort of like an empowerment sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I felt like this movie really needed to figure out what they wanted to do with the bunny.
Yeah.
Because like they had a lot of great ideas. It was just like it felt like they had too many ideas and they couldn't decide by the time they needed to film. And I mean, whatever, the basket was, I didn't hate it. I just wish there was more of an explanation instead of just here this thing is. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then they just abandoned it.
And they find the old book in the church, and like this is the reason for it. And they go back, and it dates back to years prior, and like what they did in the old days of the the Western days, of the town, and like they had to appease something, and like they went into it. But like when you look at that and you look at how it eventually turns out, it was like, what was the point? Because like he literally says, oh, I'm doing this because of my wife likes you. Okay. So it wasn't for the town. So, what was it's just like, what's the point? It just didn't make sense. And like, again, like they had a cool, like the jackalope creature was fine. Like I said, I think perfectly fine. It's just like it's one of those like where it was with Graveyard Shark, where like they could have done a little bit more with the lore and like the sheriff raising the shark. And like this one, they needed something to actually make the reason for the jackalope monster to do the things that it's doing to make sense at the end, and not just, oh, my wife likes you.
Right.
Why is he going after the rest of the town? Why is he putting things in a basket? Is the eggs actually bunnies that he's given birth to? Is he an asexual creature? It doesn't register. It doesn't make sense when you really pick it apart. And that's the thing. Like, again, I didn't mind it, but still, it's one of those where you really just like have to turn your head off and just like, okay, I'm gonna let it play out. It's not, or else I'm gonna have an aneurysm trying to figure this out. It's not, one of those where it's like, I mean, honestly, It's one of those really doesn't need too much, but when you really try to think about it, it's just like, yeah, there's issues at hand with the creature and why it's happening. And they're just like, shrugging their shoulders at it, like, oh well, it's not the main issues, the main part of the film that we're wanting to give you. Like we have to women, empowering, like even though she's the one that cheated on Lance, but she has to overcome that by killing a jackalope creature. Okay.
Yeah, like this movie was just nothing really to like completely sink your teeth into either. Like there was just like here and there sequences that was like you said, like the whole dancing scene was completely unnecessary. But other than like the over the top like kills and everything, I felt like it was kind of like kind of tame. Like I felt like they could have done more with the killing. They could have done more with uh the little rabbits. Like, instead of just also give us like more lore and that. I don't know. I just wanted more. I wanted them to play it up more and give us something really to just like dive into, give us something fun and zany, which is almost what they did. They were so close to being a good movie. Like I'm not saying this is bad, but like a better film. So
Yeah. But again, it was, I mean, we pretty much discussed everything we could. It's okay. Again, compared to the other ones of this marathon, I think it's the better, even though it still has some issues. But I don't know. It's definitely one that you have to think about later on when we do our other films of the Twisted Nature
yeah,
Marathon, when we get onto our rankings. It's just definitely going to be one where you like really have to put it into perspective to see where it lands on the list. But yeah, like it's fine. I mean, it has its fun and it shows. I think it definitely shows more than Ravenstein did, even though like again, like it was just like again that small knit group of people with Ravenstein just going in and just making a film and just like, you know what, if whatever issues we have, we do. It's sort of the same thing. Like again, like I think this one's a little bit more better. The lore is a little bit better compared to Ravenstein, so maybe
definitely.
give the nod over Ravenstein, because of that one was just like sort of the same idea with this one, just a little bit. Ravenstein was a little bit more messy, whereas this one, at least there's some substance on the bone. But yeah, like it's not terrible. They gave you some. This is like getting like a me and my analogies. This is like asking for a 20-piece nugget and they give you a children's meal, a children's nugget, like a 5-piece. Like, that's not what I ordered. Like
Yeah,
you wanted this full thing and they give, like, or a 10-piece, it's just like they didn't give you the full order. Like, that's not what I ordered. And you have to go through and you have to wait in line and there's a long wait and inside and the drive through. And you're just like, you know what? I don't care. I'll just eat it and screw it. That's sort of how
yeah.
it is. Like, I'm not going to deal with it. It's just like, I'll eat it and I'll be fine with it and just go on with your day. And you want a little bit more out of it, but whatever. That's the best analogy I can come up with on the
Yeah.
spot.
I was thinking more. To me, it felt like this was a rough draft, that like an essay paper. That's
Yeah,
just like a rough draft. But you kind of screwed around and then you just turned it in
yeah.
as is.
It has typos and run-on
Yeah.
sentences, and you're just like, I'll get around to it. I'll get around to it, and then you didn't, and then like, well, here's the
But
deadline.
but other than that, like the audio was pretty good. The music mixing was great. Like I didn't have any issues with that. I thought, you know, the little concert sounded nice. The film looked nice. I mean,
I think
I
everyone
just
gave it
think
their
they
all. I
leaned
mean,
into it.
they were having a fun time. It looked like they're having a blast, just
Oh,
being out, like
100%.
outlandish, not too over the top, but just like have fun,
Yeah. And that's what I liked about it. I was like, it just feels like a actual passion project instead of just like trying to make something to make money or just to make something
Yeah,
just to say for the hell of it. Like they actually wanted to do this. Um, but I mean, other than cutting a lot of it down and adding a little bit, like cut somewhere and then take that time and add lore a little bit, like, you know, give us some more lore about like why we were seeing what we were seeing instead of just using it as like a cheap gag and like a cheap toss away gag that isn't going to get brought up for the rest of the movie
yeah.
or at all. And I was like, okay. And
Like I said, they had that moment at the party where like they're searching for someone with a half foot, and they're always looking down at people's foots or stepping on people's foots, and they're just like, there's that aspect of it where it's like they needed more like dumb stuff like that, and then like, or just like, again, they needed to show like actually someone, like how the jackalope came to be. In a sense, you didn't have to show exactly what happened, but like apparently, like if you got bit, like we need to see who got bit. Just show like a hand or a ankle or something. You don't
yeah,
have to show a close up. Or just like show a close up of an ankle or a hand of someone getting bit, and like, okay, so that's how that happened. Or like he's looking at a book or something like that. It just felt like, oh, this is happening now. It's just like,
yeah,
why? How did what happened? And they don't really,
yeah,
besides Sam giving like, extended dialogue, really, just being, tinfoil hatter, just going around with tinfoil hat on, crazy loon, of the town. But yeah, it just
yeah,
needs to add a little bit more. And again, like that, really, those credits, like I thought, like, oh my god, 1 hour and 44. I'm like, I started it early. I'm like, I better start this early, and then to find out it's like only 35, 1 hour and 35 minutes. Like that's a long ass credit sequence.
yeah. I even like went through because after a certain point of the credits, they automatically try to switch to a different movie, or at least on my end it does. And I like had to stop it and try to like fast forward to see if because I figured there was going to be like an after credit scene or something, like, or a post credit scene, something. And no, it's just a really long credit. And I was like, okay, that's unnecessary. That was a little unnecessary. Give
Yeah,
me a heart attack thinking this was an almost 2-hour movie.
exactly.
I was like, good
Uh,
lord. But it's not the worst movie we've ever seen.
no, like I said,
It's
for
definitely
what
not
it
the worst
is,
Easter movie we've
yeah,
seen.
like I said, for what it is, it's one of the better ones. Like I said, besides just having a dude going crazy in a bunny outfit in a cabin in the middle of the woods, like Easter Bloodbath, or um, the other one where they're in the storage shed, in indoor storage containers. Um, that one was like, what was that, Easter Bloodbath or something like that? I don't know. I think I said the same film twice. Easter
Yeah.
Bunny, no, I don't know. But yeah, it was fine. Like I said, it's fine. It, it they had fun with it. There were some interesting moments. The lore was a little better handled. Um, there's a dedication to it. It wasn't too in your face, um, but it wasn't exactly the most thought out. They didn't give you too much, on the reason why, and they go the opposite route, trying to overpower, like empowering subject matter. But again, it's fine for what it was. It's trying to be, this horror comedy, it's like, sort of tongue in cheek, but they just quite missed the mark a little bit. But it's, again, like I said, you turn your brain off, it's fine, and you just like have, if you don't look at all the inconsistencies of, like, me and Ian, when we review these films and go in there with, a reviewer's eyes, and, like, again, still, if you go in there open mind, you're still going to have a little bit of fun with it. But it's not exactly, again, we can see that as well, and we also see it with the reviewer's eyes. And, like, again, I can see both, where it's like it has its issues, but it's also still a little fun if you don't have that clouding judgment over it. And I'm going to give it a pass. It's still okay. Again, for, as I said, previous films and of the marathon. But yeah, it's fine. I like the jackalope creature and the bunnies. So I like him shitting eggs and, like, their bloody pile of eggs. Just like, and, like, he was trash talking at the end of it, and, like, I have to do that every hour.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I kind of also didn't like
wisecracking jackalope.
Yeah, I didn't like when he was just like, his reasoning, and then just immediately flipped. Like, okay, this is my reasoning for doing everything because of, Mary Lou. And then as soon as she, like, oh, well, fine, I'm going to punish you. And, like, I was like, dude, you should have done that when she first started making you eat out of a bowl off the floor. Like, I just was like, okay, that was just, I don't know. I felt like I was just so unsatisfied with this movie. I think that's the feeling that I had. It's just unsatisfied. Like, because it wasn't bad enough for me to hate it. It wasn't good enough for me to love it. Just kind of, But, at least it wasn't a terrible movie like Easter Day.
No. But again, there's a lot there with Beaster Day, man. That was a wild one.
Yeah, it was. And that's the thing. Like, there was just...
That's the one thing of Beaster Day. It was just like, so that's outlandish. Yeah, that's just fucking outlandish as it can get. But yeah, I don't really think there's too much more to discuss with Easter Bloody Easter.
Yeah, I don't think
and either. I'm happy we got... Yeah. But as always, I'm always glad to discuss these ridiculous movies with you, buddy. And I appreciate everyone listening and having taken the time out of the day to listen to our Easter special and our review of Easter Bloody Easter. And we're closing in on almost the finale. We got a couple shows left of our Twisted Nature Marathon before we start our main ordeal and what we decide on that. So we have some interesting choices coming up, as I always say. So I appreciate everyone listening. Happy Easter, and we will see you next time on Horror Night Oasis.
Happy Easter.